The Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom through investing in real estate. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life you love. I'm your co-host, Tresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book, Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. I'm here to help motivate and inspire you to build your dream life because, girl, you deserve it. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to the Without Fear of Her Future podcast. Today's guest is not only live in our studio, but she is a living testimony of God's power to redeem, restore, and rebuild. Kat Sorensen is the CEO of Laguna Shores Recovery Center and the founder of the incredible online community Chains to Changed. Once bound by addiction, Kat now walks in freedom. She's using her story to help countless others discover hope and healing through faith in Jesus Christ. From addiction to entrepreneurship, her journey is proof that with God, nothing is wasted. Get ready to be inspired by the unstoppable faith and purpose of Kat Sorensen.
Oh, I love that.
This is
so excited to have you,
yes.
especially in person.
Yes, in studio. This is amazing.
Yes, this
First
is incredible.
time.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
Thank you. This home is beautiful. I could be here forever.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you.
Yes.
And as much as I'd like to take off focusing on the beautiful, successful, full of faith businesswoman and entrepreneur that you are today, we really have to go back a little bit to your early days of your story to understand who you are and the magnitude of the impact that you are making.
Yeah.
So I really want to start at the beginning. Let's go back and just give our listeners an idea of who you were, where you come from.
So, I love actually being able to talk about my past because it does truly show just the power of God. And I know that both of you we all come from trials and tribulations, and, that's why we're here today, so that we can really, provide hope that, I don't just talk about it. I have fruit in my life that demonstrates that God is alive and well and working.
Yes.
And, I think the most important thing about my past is that I did not come from a home that had addiction or abuse. I had a pretty incredible childhood. I was hoping, and I have searched my past looking for trauma, right? I was like, there has to be some yes. Like, why did I turn out this way? And I had two parents that loved me. They're still together. I grew up in Denver, Colorado, the suburbs. I had an incredible childhood, and really, all I can remember from my earliest age is just feeling like sad, like lonely, irritable, restless, discontent, which I know now are precursors to alcoholism. And so, I did whatever I needed to do as a little girl to get, the feeling of relief. A lot of times that came in the form of animals. A lot of times that came in the form of isolation. And so it's no wonder that when I found alcohol at 13, that it was
13.
It's
crazy.
I know. And really it was, like we're experimenting like most kids do. I feel like that's pretty normal. We were at a friend's house. Her brother was older and he had a keg, and, her parents were out of town. And, I just remember feeling like the effect of the alcohol for the very first time.
So the very first time you were hooked.
Oh yeah. It was like somebody had taken an oxygen mask and put it over, and I could finally exhale.
Wow.
And it was to the point where the next day, a lot of the younger girls, my classmates that had drank, were so embarrassed by their behavior. They were, really ashamed and oh my gosh, so scared that their parents would find out. And I was legitimately, that was the best night of my life.
Give me more.
Right. And I don't want to live without this stuff anymore. I could have used this stuff 10 years ago. And, from then on, really went on a journey to find as much that was basically the pattern was, one, I didn't really drink to enjoy the taste or whatever. It was always for the effect. And then, whatever I could use to numb out. And so, as I got into high school, I started to experiment with like weed and, maybe some pills here and there. And then really, alcohol was just like the steady Eddie, right? It was always there, super easy to get. This is, 20 years ago, so much different, I guess more than 28 years ago, 25 years ago, wow. And, the landscape was much different than it is now when talking about pills and powder. Fentanyl wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
But, I knew that I was about to go to college. I was 18, and that I really was at a crossroads. Like, my parents saw me, living this double life, right? I was the varsity cheerleader. I was in Future Business Leaders of America. I was in all of these advanced placement classes. And then I was driving, drunk, sneaking out, and my parents are like beside themselves. Yeah. Like, what are you... I mean, my mom she just said, what do you think is going to happen when you go to college? Like, and my biggest fear was, oh my goodness, like, I'm going to have to live with them. If I fail out of college, I'm going to have to come back because they were helicopter parents. They had no idea how to, deal with me. And I had an older brother who was just, really had never done anything wrong and was, very straight edge. So I came out and they just, I gave them a run for their money for sure. So I had always, been taught the importance of hard work, even though I come from a family where I didn't have to ask for much. My parents, taught me that if you want something, you work for it. Mm-hmm. And so I worked in school. I was a waitress at a restaurant called the Trail Dust. It was a steakhouse. And I was just had the hugest crush on this man who really wanted nothing to do with me. And it was very strange because I really felt like I could get anything I wanted at that point. And, this very arrogant, naive 18-year-old. And I pulled him aside one night and I'm like, are you gay? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, why are you not interested in me? And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, what do you mean? He's like, you don't love Jesus. I want nothing to do with you. I was like, wow. No man, one has ever said that to me, but also I just never met somebody with so much conviction. Uh-huh. And so, I was about to graduate. I was seeking, I was searching, and I had been to church. My family, would go on Christmas, Easter, but it wasn't about a relationship. It was more about the routine and the religion, right? And I know that I had heard the gospel, but it wasn't until we were sitting in the back of that restaurant rolling silverware and he shared the gospel of Jesus with me. And it stopped me like, a truck. I was, he said to me, like, all of the things that you're doing for validation and, to like the partying and the promiscuity and all of those things, you have to know that, one, Jesus loves you so much just the way that you are, and that he died on the cross for you, and that all you have to do is accept him and follow his way. And like these things that you're going to that are making you feel more empty, you won't have to worry about any of that. He is the, water that never leaves you thirsty. And I was just like, what do you mean by that? Yeah. Truly, and so he told me about some verses I should read, and I went home and I dusted off an old King James version. It was in our guest bedroom, and it was like decoration. And I got on my knees and I read, John 3:16, and I read some verses, and I truly accepted Jesus into my heart. And I felt, I just felt a shift. And I went back to work the next day, and I was so excited to tell him, like, I did it. And, he wasn't really that impressed. He was like, okay, Like now,
first step.
yeah. Now there's like action
Yeah.
that follows that, which is, we got to get you in a church. Let me connect you with like some women so that you can have community. And man, I mean, I started attending his church. I didn't know that he was the pastor's son. So as you can see, I mean, I really don't believe he had ulterior motives. He really wanted nothing to do with me. And it wasn't until I asked him, and then I started attending church with him and got involved with their like young people's group and had a pretty significant transformation. And then he and I started dating. I went off to college. I went to CU Boulder. He was at like a community college locally, and so we still dated. And he proposed to me on my 19th birthday.
Wow.
And I was a little shocked, but my parents were more shocked. He asked them for my hand in marriage, but he was more. I think my parents said as long as she graduates, we're okay with it because they really appreciated the change that I had, undergone. He said, of course she'll graduate. What he meant by that is that I was going to marry him and then graduate. Right. They really thought, no, you're going to have a 4-year engagement. And so, we tried to wait. We tried to stay pure before marriage. It was getting very hard. And we just said, after being engaged for about 9 months, we're like, we really need to, 4 years is not happening, Mom and Dad. And so they did the best they could, and they threw us a wedding. And, I didn't drink at our wedding. I, had for most of my college until that point had cleaned things up. We were very involved in the church. We were very we were youth pastors. We took kids backpacking. It was a really beautiful life that was blossoming and transforming. And I had not really even thought about partying. There were a few occasions where someone would bring over a bottle of wine and I would partake in one. And what would happen is that my whole brain would get hijacked and I would just think about, sneaking a second glass or even taking, the dishes to the sink and being like, I wonder, because they were strange. They would leave like half a glass. Right? That is alcohol abuse. And then, I would just be so hijacked the whole night that I really couldn't participate in the conversation. Wow. And so it got to the point where I was like, I'm not even going to do this anymore. I don't want one. Something really weird happens to me. I had no idea that was alcoholism, right?
So at this point, you still never dawned on you
No,
that you were an alcoholic.
But he would say it to me often.
Okay.
And I just was like, I would laugh it off because I really believed that alcoholism had something to do with the quantity that you took, right? Okay. And, I had some time abstinent from it. So it was very strange to me, how could I be an alcoholic if I can go a year without it, right? But see, what told me that I was an alcoholic was that when I had one, I wasn't certain what would happen after that.
Yeah.
And the mental obsession that is now kicked off when I have just one, and they liken it to having an allergic reaction, right? An allergic reaction just means that you have a bodily abnormal reaction to the thing. It doesn't make peanuts bad or shellfish bad, but if your body can't actually take that, then you're allergic to it, right? Well, unfortunately, the allergy comes in a form of this weird mental obsession that just hijacks all my thoughts. Wow. And it would be so much easier if we could just have our throat close up if we drink, right? Just be like, okay, cut and dry, you're an alcoholic, move on, right? But I break out in handcuffs. I just still think, well, maybe I should have taken a different road home, or I drank on an empty stomach. Just all of the things that I would do to try to rationalize that I don't have this thing. Mm-hmm. So as time progresses, I graduated. I had an incredible college career because I worked really hard. I didn't party. Yeah. But that feeling of not fitting in, not belonging, and not being okay in my own skin started to come back again because I was now a Christian woman at a large party school. I would see the girls that I went to high school with on campus. They were with their sororities, which was kind of really like I am knowing who I am. I'm just social, I'm the typical sorority girl, right? I love to party. I love to have fun. I love, women friendships. And so seeing them and it was a lonely walk, right?
Yeah.
Being a 22-year-old or 21-year-old Christian married woman at a huge, liberal arts college was strange. And so, I didn't notice how much it took root until I graduated, and I went to I got a really incredible job. I think honestly, I would have to go back and check, but I think I got an $89,000 base salary out of college.
Wow.
And I was in sales, and I had this incredible sales position, and they were flying me all over the place. And I was going to these conferences, and they had open bars. And, I thought to myself, well, it's been 2 years, what's the big deal? And the first few times that I, partook, there was no consequences. It was really fun. All my colleagues were doing it. I did feel some guilt because I wasn't totally transparent with my husband. But, I was like, what's the harm, right? All the things that we tell ourselves to keep it quiet and to have that double life.
Rationalizing your behavior.
Right. Anytime you have to rationalize anything, hey, there is a warning sign there, right? And so, that went on for about 6 months. I started to actually feel okay, some relief, right? But what I didn't realize is then I was sneaking it at home. I was forming this double life that was so familiar to me as a little girl, and then as high school, and then now college, graduating college, and feeling if I can just distract you with my accomplishments or my accolades, nobody's really gonna
pay attention.
Yeah, because that worked for me at home, right? That worked for me in high school, and then even in college, I did really well, and that was always a way for me to feel validated, right? Validation through accomplishments is something that I like.
You crave it.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? There's a part of me that's super thankful for that because I'm incredibly driven and ambitious because of it.
Yeah.
And I do believe that it's helped me to just achieve a lot of the goals that I have, right? But as time progresses, alcoholism is fatal, and it is progressive, and it does want me dead, but it will settle for me drunk, and it will take my marriage. It will take everything I care about. And the weirder thing about it is that it will tell me that I don't have it. And so, they statistically have studied alcoholism and people who have this disease, and one of the symptoms is that we don't believe we have it. So if you think about any other disease that people are diagnosed with, let's just say it's leukemia, and you're sitting in the hospital and they're telling you symptoms of leukemia. It's loss of hair, lower white blood cell count, loss of energy, loss of appetite. You don't think you have it. It's what? It is crazy town, right? Yeah. I mean, the fact that and that only substantiated the fact that maybe I do have this thing. Regardless, one night I am at a sales conference. I'm actually in Houston for the sales conference. The last thing I remember was being at the hotel bar talking to a guy who is from a partner company, and I woke up in his bed the next day.
Now we have consequences.
Yeah. And now, what is so crazy to me is at the time I didn't once think about eliminating alcohol. I literally thought somebody must have spiked my drink. I mean, the mental illness. No, right. The mental illness that comes with, this lifestyle is just, it's unbelievable. Yes, yeah. Wow. And I'm trying to manage, because never ever do I want it to be the alcohol's fault. No, right? So I went home and I told my husband, who I loved, I adored him. I was like, how could this be? How could I possibly treat the man who I love? And I know this is all ironic because I had been lying to him. I was dishonest. I was living a double life. I don't want to blame it on age, but I learned a lot in the past 20 years of reflecting on that, right? I was 21, 22. Many of us, aren't really mature enough to recognize these things at that age. Regardless, it's never an excuse for my poor behavior. What I'm saying is that I just didn't really realize that I was hurting him until something that extreme happened. And so I went home and I told him I was devastated. He was far more devastated. And his first thing is, you got to stop drinking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my, yeah, of course. In the back of my mind, I was like, what a weird thing to say.
Wow.
We go to counseling, and they're like, the whole premise is, you're going to stop, right? And I was like, yeah. But let's go back to, is there anything else that might have caused this? And, it was this pattern that continued to happen because I did not stop. I slowed down, but then it would happen again. I would go home, I would tell him, and it was just like, okay, Lord. And so what we did is it was my job. So I quit my job and we moved to a little small mountain town. And, within a few weeks, I found myself taking over an insurance agency there. The lady wanted to sell, but she was going to stay on. And so I ended up going to get licensed in property and casualty, and then got my Series 63. All in a very short amount of time, while, also having this, I say small, but it is a major part of my life that is on fire that I'm not willing to look at. Mm-hmm. And I think that if I just change the career and the setting and even the address, and just try to reinvent myself, that it's going to fix itself. And, I have this incredible ability to build a life really fast. And then if I don't change what is really, truly the underlying issue, which was, one, I have a progressive and fatal disease of alcoholism, and two, that I get my self-worth from accomplishments, and that I don't really understand who I am as far as my identity being in Christ.
Mm-hmm. At this point, had you progressed to anything other than alcohol?
Not yet, but that is when I, in the mountains, I didn't really realize that everyone up there has money. They are, in this particular town, they're very wealthy. Many of them, it's their second or third homes. They're there to vacation. We call them, Tinkerbells and Peter Pans. And all they want to do is have fun. So they meet me in my office. I'm the new owner. I'm throwing parties, right? And then one of my clients throws a bag of cocaine on my desk. And I was like, I didn't even flinch. I was like, man, I've been waiting for this opportunity. Because I heard that it allows you to drink more. Oh. Yes. I know. I was a slave. And I had no idea truly how deep I was in it until, it was like quicksand. And, again, I'm back to my old behavior. And then I really don't give my husband a choice. I make it very easy for him to leave me. Mm-hmm. And, sorry, sweetheart. So at about 20, that went on and off for about 9 months, maybe a year. And then he gave me a divorce, and now I had nothing holding me back. I was like, and you know what? I'm actually kind of mad at God because, I thought I changed. I thought all of this went away when I was 18. I, gave my life to you. I remember, I was on my knees in my room praying, and I said the prayer, I thought doesn't this just go away? I had no idea that my surface level faith doesn't fix these, I believe, generational curses that take work. And, I was in full blown rebellion. I was like, you know what? I got baptized. I married a preacher's son. I have done the most. And
the winner.
Yeah. Where are you? And, my whole life is about accomplishments, right? And this was the one time it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And so for the next 7 years, all of the things I said I would never do, I did, on a regular basis. And I lowered my standards faster than I could violate them. And thankfully, I found myself in a place where it stopped working, right? I hear a lot of people ask, how do you know if you're done? And I'm like, if you don't want to kill yourself and you don't want to die, you're probably not done. Wow. Because that is what it takes to pull yourself out of the pit and do the work to really like repair and move forward, it takes so much desperation and discomfort that if you're like kind of uncomfortable, you're probably not going to do it, right? And so, I moved for the last time to California. I was in Atlanta for 1 year. That was very fuzzy. And they didn't fire me, but they suggested that I find a new place of employment. And then, because I was doing drugs all the time, all day, throughout my, and they had an open bar at work. I mean, it's pretty insane when you start to do this daily behavior and these habits, and then you develop this lifestyle. And I just like took an inventory of like who was around me, and I'm like, man, like all of these people are very addicted, and this is like the quality of people I've been attracting. Yes. So I moved to California. My brother met a woman there, and they were starting a family, and I said, oh, this is it. This is going to be it, right? I'm going to have, Saturday morning breakfast with my little nieces and nephews and auntie life and, pancakes and games and, baseball tournaments, and my life is going to be about them. And I wrote myself a letter on the plane from Atlanta to California saying, it's going to be different, right? Going back to church, I'm starting over, exercise, sobriety, all of these things. In fact, it's going to be easy. I hate drugs and alcohol so much right now. This is going to be easy. I land in California and I make it one night. Oh. And the next day, I'm invited by my neighbors who are, having a cake party, and they invited me to the bars that night. And it's about another year that I am doing the same thing. Wow. And God is so good that he gave me that experience for a few reasons. One is now my brother and his family got a front row seat, because before I was far enough away and I could just kind of have my accomplishments and like, look over here, but my brother saw like me, driving when I shouldn't have been, and he
saw the mess.
Yeah. And he came over and he said, hey, like, I can't have you around the kids. I actually, like, we don't want you at Thanksgiving. It was in September of 2015. And the crazy thing is, I had a really amazing apartment. And I would go out on my balcony and I would overlook this incredible beach. But all I could see was this train that goes through my town, and I just fantasized often about I could just end it. It would be so easy to just end all of this, because it was truly towards the end very tormenting to wake up every single day and to say, okay, today's going to be different, right? And then, only a matter of time before I'm reaching for, either the bottle, the pills that I have, because I got very much into prescription pills, and then powder. And just kind of doing whatever I needed to do to feel up, feel down, just not feel who I was, and really just running from the woman who, I so desperately wanted, and the potential that I saw her to have, but just couldn't attain it. And I had these two dogs that were just like the love of my life. They had been through everything. I had a Jack Russell that I got when I was 18. And she had been through every relationship, all the moves, and then I had a lab pit mix, and they had seen it all, and they were about 14 and 15 at the time, and I would just look at their little gray faces, and I was just thinking, who would take care of them? Like I can't do that to them. And so finally, I got to a place where my brother intervened and said, hey sis, like go handle it. Like I don't know what you need to do, but handle it. And I reached out for help, and this woman who was at my gym was a believer. She was also 20 years sober, and I would show up to my workouts bragging about how I hadn't slept in 3 days, or I reeked of alcohol, or I like just did some cocaine in the parking lot, like I'm ready to go. And she would just like so lovingly say to me, like, if ever you want to talk about sobriety. And I was like, what are you bringing that up for? Like, that is strange. No, I don't want to talk about that. And she really just gently showed me, never pushed it down my throat, just said like, hey, I got 20 years of ever. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so, the day that I was ready, I reached out to her and she met me that afternoon, and I just shared, I was as honest as I could be with her at 0 days sober. I really truly didn't believe it was the drugs or the alcohol. But I did know that something had to change if I was going to be invited back to Thanksgiving. And so, she said, well, the amazing news is that I have felt the way that you felt, and there is a solution. I was like, yes. Okay. All right. That, lay it on me. Like, right. I'm on whatever pill it is, if it's a shot, is it a doctor? Like, do I need to go get, do I need to go get zapped and strapped to a bed and just like electrocuted? Like, I'll do anything. And she said, the not so good news is that it's Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a 12-step program. And she said, I really think you're a candidate for it. And I'm like, I was so angry. I was
12 steps.
Yeah, I was like, what? No. You misunderstood. I have a relationship issue. I have a God issue. Like, I just need to go to your church. And she said, listen, honey, you've tried all of that, right? Like, she said, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And I was out of answers. And so I agreed, and I started to attend meetings. God is so good that apartment that I was in is literally like 2.5 miles from what we call an Alano Club, which is basically a meeting place where they have meetings like all day long. And so I was like, wait, there's one right here? So I went up there. I started to attend meetings. The worst thing that could have ever happened to me was that I actually identified, and I started to hear my story. And, I had tried therapy. I even had a doctor prescribe me something called Antabuse, which is something that makes you sick when you drink. And I had gone to all the lengths to make it, on my own. And for whatever reason, I felt relief, and I felt like I could relate when I went and sat around other people in these 12-step programs. And one of the coolest things happened was I got 7 days, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so the only thing that has really helped me stay stopped was, the fellowship of a 12-step program, who I didn't know was going to bring me back to God, right? Yeah. And the crazy thing is they say, you can accept a God of your own understanding. And I was still mad at God when I came in. But, he met me there, and, he has left the 99 to come after me. And, the beautiful thing about that is that about 1.5 years sober, I was surrounding myself in my free time with helping other women. I thought, like, I just want to help people break free. This is the way, Yeah. So many people go to church and they're like, I don't understand why it's not sticking. And some people do get radically set free. That wasn't my story. And so now I love being able to work with women and share the gift that was so freely given to me. And, I would wake up at it was like 2017, and I was still working in corporate America, and just like feeling like I thought I should feel better every day because I wake up sober, clear-minded, but I was really unfulfilled in what I was doing. And I had a mentor who said, hey, probably time that you look at, either transitioning to a different field or, when you're not fulfilled in something you're doing 8 hours a day, like it can weigh on you, and I got sober to live happy and free, right? Not to be miserable every day sitting in front of a computer. And so I did the most that I could possibly do. And, I started to research. Like, where is the next step for me? And that's really when I realized how much I loved sharing sobriety with people, and that, mixing that with my entrepreneurial spirit of creating my own treatment center that really just made me feel I was super scared, but totally, I took the risk in 2018 and haven't looked back since.
Hello, beautiful. Tresa Todd here. Can you believe this is our 55th MasterClass? And let me tell you, we are celebrating big with 5 full days of live real estate investing, training, multiple strategies taught. And we're going to give you the confidence to start exactly where you are. Plus, I am giving you the Retirement Without Fear bundle. This is an $80 value, which includes my Amazon best-selling book. It includes a power prep packet and even bonus videos featuring the one and only John Maxwell and Kim Kiyosaki. And get this, we are doing all of this for just $17. So sign up today. Join us December 7th through 11th, and let's get you one step closer to financial freedom and help us celebrate our 55th Masterclass. So I want to ask this question. From that time, you started AA. Did you ever relapse since then?
So, I thought AA was just about alcohol. So I was still doing prescription Adderall and prescription Xanax and like partaking in weed like a little bit. And I told the woman who was my sponsor at the time, I said, hey, I still am doing this. And she's like, listen, let's just focus on the alcohol for right now. And so it was about 8 weeks later that I dumped everything.
Okay.
And so my official sobriety date is when I dumped everything and haven't looked back since. And that was November 1st, 2015. So coming up on 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Hey, you know
So
what?
amazing.
It's all him.
So you found not only, you found AA, that was
Yes.
part of the way that God did this, but you also came back to God. So
Yep.
he's been a part of the healing.
We're not mad at him anymore.
Nope.
And then you found even more fulfillment when you realized, well, I want to help other women do this. And then you went and started
Yes.
your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So what's
so
going
much
on
fulfillment.
in your life now?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So, my businesses have been incredibly rewarding to be able to marry profit and purpose. I think is everybody's dream. I wake up
Yeah.
every day just so much in gratitude. The other, we also have to grow, right? God has called us to grow and expand. And so there are certainly areas. I wrote a book this year.
Yes.
Called The Comeback Blueprint, Winning at Life After Addiction. It'll be out next month.
Awesome.
Also, with you, got to
Yeah.
co-author a book, and I wrote a chapter in She Nailed It,
Yep.
right? Turning
Yep.
Pain into Purpose. I have spent probably the past 2 years developing like my personal online brand. I also created a really practical, simple tool for sobriety, which is a daily sobriety goal setting journal, which basically just takes you through one day at a time, because that's really how we do it. Just everything in life, right? Whether it's success, whether it's fitness, sobriety, we just do it one day at a time, and we stack those daily wins. And, before you know it, like consistency and momentum builds.
you know
and
it,
you're
it's
like,
10 years.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe it. And
So for our listeners who are listening,
Yeah.
is there a way for them to get that journal or join your community?
Yes,
or
of
what can
course, of
listeners
course,
that are,
yeah.
Like maybe your story might be resonating with them, and they
Of
might
course.
be.
Yeah,
How do they get that?
Yeah. So Instagram is sobercat.com, and it's cat with a K, and it's 2 T's. SOBERKATT is my Instagram, not .com. My website is sobercat.com. And I'm glad that you brought up the community. So last November, I had an overwhelming number of people on social media reaching out to me, because I do very much believe in recovering out loud. I want people to always know that I am here if ever they need help, and I will point them towards resources, somewhat like that woman did for me when I was so desperate over 10 years ago. And so I created an online sobriety platform, and it's on something called the Circle app, and it's a community called Chains to Changed. And it's something that I checked this morning, 998 members.
Oh, and you just started that. It's been-
Almost a little less than 11 months.
That's incredible.
It's totally free, but it's basically like just a community or a platform where you can go and talk about your sobriety openly, ask questions. We really encourage Sober Curious. We're doing a 30-day Sober October challenge right now where, most of my community members have a journal. I send it to them, when they sign up. Again, it's totally free. But, they are able to just log what are the things they're doing that day. And so to like this month's goal is let's do this every single day, guys. Let's log our goals every day, and then let's go back at night and tell each other how we did.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's just so cool to see people achieving and accomplishing goals.
Yes.
Writing down your goals is huge, but then when you add the extra layer of accountability and community, I mean, it is so fun to see people losing weight. They're I mean, outside of like staying sober, I have a guy in there that has like 316 days, which I think is almost the exact amount that we've had the community open, which is really cool. And, just to see God working is a beautiful thing. So to your question, I have a website, sobercat.com, and it's KATT. And my resources are all on there. You can find more information about my recovery centers there. And the sobriety journal is also on there, but you can find it at sobrietyjournal.com.
Wow.
I love how you have turned, there's a scripture, and I know that our listeners have heard me say the scripture, Romans 8:28, that God causes all things to work together for our good.
Yeah.
And I love stories that show our struggles, our hard times, our misbehaviors, the areas of our life where we fall short, and how He turns them around. And look at where you are now and what you're doing and who you're impacting and how many you're impacting. And praise God for your story, because people are being set free because of what you went through.
Yeah. And you can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And without judgment, without condemnation.
Yeah.
And so I have the honor of just being friends with Kat. We're in a mastermind together, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of, obviously, your 10 years, but I mean, just since I've known you, you started the from Chains to Chained and did the journal and now the book. And I'm just watching your life change before my eyes, and it's so incredible.
You're a testament to that, because, having women around like you guys have changed my life. I get to, be around positive, godly, inspiring women. It's like, I always tell people proximity is power.
Yes.
Find the people that you want to be like and, spend time with them. And it's amazing how God has worked through all of us just to, we get to, like, iron sharpens iron. We get to build each other up. And, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be interested in this type of relationship. You guys certainly wouldn't be interested in me. And it's like, this is really the beauty of, that God can take anything, and that it might not look the way that you want, but it's always for His glory if we allow it.
Absolutely.
Story of hope
well,
and
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thanks for being here. I know our listeners are going to love it. And we will also put in the show notes how they can reach out to you.
Yes.
And we're actually, we've done 4 podcasts today, and now we're about to go celebrate another friend that is 10 years sober tonight. So we're going to go celebrate that.
Yes,
and you're next, girl.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Kat, this has been absolutely amazing.
Yes,
thank you
you
so much for joining us. You truly are a reminder that God truly trades ashes for beauty. Doesn't you? If her story spoke to your heart today, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs hope. And remember, no matter how far gone things may seem, freedom is always possible through Jesus Christ. Thank you, Lord. We love that.
Thank you, Jesus.
If you or someone you love is walking through addiction or brokenness, know there is hope and help is waiting. Visit Chains to Changed or connect with Laguna Shores Recovery Center. You gave us your websites to learn more. Kat, thank you for joining us. Our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. May you leave inspired to walk in freedom and help someone else find theirs. As always, we bless you. Be brave and dream big. Listeners, if you're aiming for financial freedom, dreaming of designing a life you absolutely love, or just curious about how real estate can transform your future, you're in the right place.
Yes, ladies, if that sounds like what you want, our masterclass is the key. It's easy to understand, super straightforward, and packed with all the secrets you need to start investing in real estate confidently and successfully. Why wait to build your dream future? Join us and let us make your dreams a stunning reality.
Just click the MasterClass link in the notes below.
And we can't wait to begin this journey with you.